And we're live.
Cool.
Welcome back, Justin.
Thank you.
Something small has happened since the last time we spoke.
Right.
You've become internationally renowned as the no. So second place, right?
hmm
Of and actually I could read the official release here. I should have brought this up, but yes, second place in the LA WhipCon, and what? Well, double whip,
Single whip.
single whip. I
Yep.
apologize.
And
Single whip
performance category.
and performance. That's right. With your awesome compilation,
Yeah.
which
That fun one.
was
Yeah.
I think it was definitely the most fun video that I saw. And I actually got a special shout out by Adam.
hmm
He posted that separate, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Adam is like, someone I've idolized my whole life. So anytime he says anything remotely nice, it's like, ooh, like I feel so good.
it's a little bit of fan worship.
Yeah.
That's okay too. That's
Mhm.
okay too. Yeah, I was just bringing it up here. But so yeah, yesterday we talked, or whenever it was, Friday, we chatted about how you create the routine and all. But now that you know where you placed, what do you think you might have done different to place higher, if you will, or now that you've seen what other people have done, if you could do it all over again, would you change anything?
Um, to be honest, like I definitely didn't expect to even place in the single-handed division, because there's just a ton of folks that are, in my opinion, way better than I am. And so, in a way, like, yeah, I don't think I would change anything because in my mind, I'm fortunate to get second, if like to place it all. And when I went in making the routine, I was very much not aiming to win anything. It was more just I want to do, as I said before, the best minute of whip cracking I ever have.
Right.
And so last year when I went to LA, I think me, Todd, and Danny all tied for first place in the single hand, and then we had to do like this lightning tiebreaker round.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Danny went out. He was first, and he did the four corners in his right hand, and then he did it in his left hand. And when he did that, I remember thinking, well, now it's just going to be me and Todd fighting for second place because I can't do that, right? And so my goal this year was very much like I need to put the four corners in both hands in my routine. And so I spent a long time working on my left-handed four corners. And then when I made the routine, I did left hand first because it's weaker, and then my right hand stronger to make it like continually get louder. And then from there, it was very much just like putting in a bunch of tricks that I really like that are difficult, but also like I can do quickly because I have to get a whole bunch in because I only have 60 seconds.
Right.
And then I remember like when I'm doing my one-handed routine, I'm like, I've nailed everything and I'm getting up to the last throw. And normally I do like a throw behind the back and then it flips and then I catch it in the other hand on the other
Okay.
side.
That's just
Uh,
normal. Okay.
yeah, but I threw it and like in the 1 second that was in the air, I remember thinking like, I've done everything perfectly. I'm gonna try and also catch this whip behind my back. So it was like a blind throw and blind catch because it's like if I mess it up, well that's fine. I'll just do another take, right? But if I do like the easier version and then I land that, I'm gonna be like, oh, I could have tried something and made this really awesome. And
Right.
so I got super lucky and caught that. And I think to me, like that might be what cinched second place because when you look at Todd's routine, he did two of those somersault throw and catches. And I don't know if you've ever tried those, but they're like
Right.
impossible. Um, I've done a few of them, and the thing that amazes me is that Todd must practice them, and practicing them is it just feels like you're getting beaten up because you just keep hitting the ground and hitting the ground and hitting
Right.
the ground, right?
I mean, I assume that some of his training with the
Stuntman
in
and
Hollywood, the stuntman stuff.
gymnastics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he knows how
he
to do that
definitely
safely.
he knows how to roll. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, so I guess long story short, to answer your question, I wouldn't change anything. I'm really happy with that take, and I think like I definitely don't expect to place again. Like both times, like this year and last year, I remember just feeling like incredibly lucky because yeah, I look up to Todd and Tori and Danny and I mean this year with it being open to everyone, like the Australians and all that kind of stuff. Although it was open technically to everyone last year too, just not
Right.
everyone could get to LA, obviously.
Right.
But it was just like, I just feel like somehow I fluked it into second place again, and like I'm happy here. I'm not gonna like say, oh, I should have done this or
I,
should have done that. Like I'm
I don't
fortunate
think
to
it's
be
a
where I
fluke,
am.
man. But
I
I
appreciate you
won't.
saying that.
I won't stroke your ego anymore. You already said that was a problem. So, it is interesting. I don't know if you saw the post shout outs. Adam had a shout out post. You got the most technical shout
Yeah,
out
for
as
my
well.
performance video. Yeah, that was
Right.
really cool too.
I mean, nobody else
Um,
spun a whip on top of their head.
right?
So
Yeah,
there's
I know.
that. Which
Honestly, that like I love that trick so much. I think it's so goofy
and
um,
flashy too.
and flashy. Yeah, you don't expect it, you know. And I remember I was out training for my two whip video one night, and I'd seen that head spin move before in a video by Julien Silio,
Oh,
who's
okay. I
like
haven't
a
seen
French Canadian whip
that
cracker.
one.
Yeah, he just does it with one whip, just on his head and then grabs it again. And I'm goofing around. I'm like, I really don't want to practice right now. And when I don't want to practice, I just do stupid stuff like that. And you can tell by how many stupid moves I have, it's very rare that I want to practice. And so I just was playing with it, and then I found out, oh yeah, I guess you can do it in the Queensland crossover. And it was just like an hour and a half of me in the dark, just spinning the stupid whip on my head. And
Oh
now
my goodness.
it's a real move.
Well,
So
I
yeah,
guess
that's cool.
you need to give it a name. What is it going to be called?
I have no idea. I haven't even thought of it. I've heard it called the whirly bird or the wheelie by people that are like talking to me about it, but I haven't. I'm not ready to coin it yet. I have to
Okay.
work on it a little more.
You should definitely think of something. It's really cool and
Hmm.
something that I'm definitely going to give a try. It's just so fun.
You should. Yeah.
I have less padding than you do, but worth a
That
try.
honestly, it would make it
Really?
easier, I think. Like, I've tried it in a baseball cap. I don't know how Todd did it in a baseball cap because it's impossible. But when I put like a beanie or a toque on, it was really
Hmm.
tight, so I had a smooth surface, and that thing just wanted to spin forever. So you shouldn't have a problem in that regard.
All right, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
That's great. Uh, so let's see. Were there any other winners and announcements that you would like to that you're excited about that you were we saw Danny Shaw earlier. I interviewed him. You were on that
Hmm.
call. Well, in the chat on that call.
Yeah.
Our first place, second a double whip, which his performance was just amazing.
Oh yeah. Crazy.
Um, but yeah, that and then of course Todd with the first place on the single whip,
Hmm.
who we were just talking about. And let me see, I could scroll back down to the official list of winners here. What did you think of the first place performance
Honestly,
video?
fantastic. I've been talking about it all day since I saw it. Like, I I remember watching it for the first time and being like, man, this is an actual film. Like this
Right.
is we're talking high quality cameras, cool editing. I remember there's a point in that where like he's doing some whip cracking and then he cracks the whip and it perfectly cuts to something else where he's in the exact same position, but now it's a fire whip. And I
Right.
was just like, I was
Will
just in love.
Fitzpatrick, by the way. Oh, you
Yeah,
haven't said his name. Will Fitzpatrick.
Will Fitzpatrick. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
haven't seen that video, yeah, check it out for sure. And super nice guy too. I'd never spoke to him before. He reached out to me today
Yeah.
and we got talking. He's super nice. Just loves making films and is fantastic at it. I went through like pretty much everything I could find on YouTube and on his Facebook
Wow. Very
today,
cool.
just like binging all these little movies. Yeah, he does great work.
Maybe. I wonder if we could bring him in on this because this is kind of an informal chat, and you and I have already had our
Yeah,
overall. I wonder if he's
I'm
available.
sure he'd be into it. Like yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, and we have also with performance Leigh Orleans, however she says her name. I just know her as ABC's of Fitness on
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, or acrobatics. Yeah.
At Acrobatics, yep, that too. And she's amazing.
I remember at last year's con when she bought the long whip that's in the end of her video.
Mhm.
I remember like watching her try and figure it out, and she definitely seemed to get the idea, but you could tell she just needed to like practice it a
Sure.
lot. So then for this year to see her just slamming that thing and pulling it back into a jump rope and all this crazy stuff, it was like, yes, like this is, we all knew it was going to happen and it did, and it's on film.
Exactly.
And that's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won a couple of drawings. Well, I won one drawing, and my son won the shout out for the youngest participant.
Oh yeah.
So I'm proud of him for that.
Cool. Good for him.
He's
I
8.
never saw his video. I'd love to
It's on my
see it.
YouTube. He was just trying to do cattleman's a couple of times. I think he tried 5 times and he got 4 of them. So it
Good.
was just he submitted his performance and it's just what it is.
Paid
But he's super
off.
proud
I
of
mean,
himself. Yeah. We got a little
yeah.
whip from Tori, so we're getting a 4-foot. So we're
Bullwhip, yeah.
excited. Yeah, a little 4-foot bullwhip.
Oh, cool. Is it custom or is it pre-made
I
already?
think it's pre-made already. He
Yeah.
sent pictures. Well, Adam posted a bunch of pictures that Tori had donated.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
Cool.
that's super exciting. And let's see, I think I was mentioned on something else if I'm talking about myself. The best father-son bonding video. I got that one too.
So wholesome.
So if you guys haven't seen it, we had snow here in Texas, believe it or not. We haven't had snow in a couple of years. And they were throwing snowballs at me. And I just started Queensland crossover. And I was actually the video I submitted was I cut one of them out of the air with the Queensland's crossover when they threw it to me. And yeah, it was just kind of fun. And yeah, it got a shout out. So I'm proud of that.
I was actually, for my performance video, I wasn't going to do one at first. And then Adam, he like messaged me and said I should. And I was thinking, what should I do? And it was really snowy that day. And I was thinking, what if I like build a snowman, but then punch my arms out the sides and then whip crack like it's a whip cracking snowman? I never did it, but like I thought it would have been super funny. So I'm glad something snowy made it in.
And it came from Texas of all places. So
yeah, really, I wouldn't have expected that. It made it extra special.
I guess there was a couple of snowy ones. I know that
Johnny's, yeah,
he said it was super
snow.
cold, 9 below 0 Fahrenheit. But yeah, that was. Whew. Let's see, were there any others?
There was one guy who did he told a story with whip cracking, like the whip punctuated the story, and he was in like a pretty snowy place.
I haven't seen
not sure where. I think it was
that
in the
one.
northern states.
I mean, I haven't seen many of them. I've been trying to scour through them and watch them all, but there's so many, which is really amazing. We had so many participants this year. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was? Of course, Dakota and Baby Yoda.
Yeah, that was funny.
I asked her for Baby Yoda's contact information for an interview, and she said that he's fiercely private, and there's something about a bounty, and he's been unavailable. So
that makes sense. Yeah, very fair. Very
They're great.
Ryder Kinsner.
Yes.
His like whip crack. He was riding on a horse hitting targets. That was pretty.
Yeah, that was.
He was riding on the horse and hitting the targets. The horse wasn't hitting the targets while he was riding on it.
Next year.
Yeah.
The horse will use the whips. So.
Yeah, train that horse.
And then Isaac was doing Eliason, I think is how he says his name. Best Fruit Ninja is what he got.
Yeah.
Which, throughout the year, I mean, he is the fruit and vegetable cutting pro.
Yeah.
If there's a zucchini that's wronged him, it will be cut. So.
Well, he's cut like oranges in half.
He cut a mango.
I'm just like
he said he discovered that there was a pit. Like, yeah, that'll do it. That's one way to discover it.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of those and just I obviously as a whip cracker, the whip has some destructive power and it'll hurt. But like seeing it cut a mango is just like, whoa, that's crazy. And some of those cuts are clean. Like
like some of those zucchini ones he did, it just like with a knife.
Yeah. I should ask him if he has some sort of special cracker material or something, like razor wire,
Right. I know I've talked to Adam about what he uses to cut cans, and he has an extra long cracker with extra knots in it, or at least he used to. I don't know if he still does. But I mean, that would be a fun way of doing it, so that when it hits, you kind of pull and it cuts through it.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of cans. Just this week, I'm going to start my first attempt at can cutting. We'll see how that goes.
What kind of soda or pop did you buy?
I have Shasta Cola.
Nice. Okay.
It was $2.10 for 12.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, I was trying to learn can cutting a while back, and I bought, same as you, like some knockoff Cokes or whatever from the grocery store. Could not, for the life of me, get it. And I got frustrated. And so I watched Adam's can cutting video, and from my understanding, it's like you shake up the can, it has a lot of pressure. When you hit it with one of the knots in the cracker, it punctures the can, and then the pressure from the can is what bursts it and rips it open. So I was like, which pop is the most carbonated? And that was name brand
Uh,
Coca-Cola. And I bought it, and after I bought it, I could cut cans, and that's
oh
all I'll use
no.
now because it's the easiest one. Yeah, yeah. If you have flat pop, it's not gonna work.
Oh
Well,
dear.
it might. It won't for me.
Well, I have to try that.
Yeah,
I'll give it a go here. I figured this would be the best for me not to actually drink them.
yeah.
That's, that's nasty off-brand, but I've never tried it. I don't plan to.
hmm
But let's see what there were some other interesting categories I want to talk to. Oh, best random dude in the background.
Todd's.
Todd's.
Yeah. What I
But there
really
was a
like
lot of
about
them though.
that, yeah, what I really like about that distinction is that Todd's whip cracking is so crazy and cool, and like when you see it, you have to watch it. And A, for that guy to be in the background and just not care, hilarious. But B, for Todd to release this video where he's like rolling around and throwing the whips and catching the whips, and he doesn't even get the award. The guy in the background basically gets the award. That makes it extra funny. It's just
Yes,
like,
it does.
yeah,
Uh,
awesome.
I've had several people have actually mentioned to me and my video, which is not. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not all that, but yeah, my neighbor comes out of her front door with a bag of trash and walks around the side of the house carrying a bag of garbage. It's like, thanks, but yeah, she doesn't turn her head either. Just it's just normal.
Yeah, I guess if you're doing it all the
Yeah,
time,
we
then.
have an empty lot between our houses, and that's where I do most of my whip cracking.
Oh, that's
So,
nice.
which is nice to have a little elbow room here.
hmm
But let's see, what else? Was there? Was there anybody else? Any other random bystanders you remember seeing in any of these? I seems like I remember seeing some other ones,
hmm
but
Um,
the
I'm not
dog
sure.
cameos and cat cameos and stuff.
Yeah, it's cool seeing, like, for example, Russell from New Zealand. Whenever he's cracking his whip, his dog is always just running around barking. I don't know if you've seen these videos.
Yes,
It's so adorable.
yes, dog
But
loves it.
yeah, but my dog, if I crack the whip, even if I like take the whip out of my bag and she sees it, she just like runs and
Oh
hides in
no,
the cage right away. She can't, she's scared of it. And obviously I whip crack a lot, so now I have to like be conscious of my dog's attitude and if I'm scaring her and all that kind of stuff. So it's
yeah,
just so funny to see the two complete polar opposites. Or like Karina, I know her cat, sometimes she'll be cracking and her cat will just like walk up nonchalantly, doesn't even care. And
right.
it's like, yeah.
I saw somebody on it was Instagram this past year, and
hmm
they were doing. I think they were trying for Jenga blocks to take
Okay.
them off,
Yep.
and or maybe it was cutting. So they would stop and they would pause, and their short whip was on the floor. And I don't know if she knew it or not and was planning this, but when the tassel was on the ground, a cat jumped out and pounced on the end of her whip right before she used it. It was adorable. So that was the main part of the video, is just showing the cat. But I
That's
was like,
funny.
that was really cute. But it wasn't part of this contest. Um,
Unfortunate.
let's see here. I have a best Western shirt
hmm
by Dustin Dvorak. Best sarong.
Best rave outfit was one, I think.
Oh yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah.
Lots of great ones, and yeah, shout out to Adam for coming up with all these. Looks like everybody got a shout out of some sort, and that's
Yeah, that
really
was super
awesome.
nice. I, I,
My
I
son
really like that.
is super stoked about it. He is telling everyone he won something. So,
Good for
but,
him. Yeah, it's so cool. And I think like a bit of feedback I've got is, some beginners or intermediates are like, I didn't really want to compete because there was no way I could win. But it's cool to have the performance category and like this shadow thing that
mhm.
Adam has done, and also the raffle to encourage people still to participate. Because I mean, from what I've heard from your interviews and also just from talking to other whip crackers that have placed, none of us really seem that competitive, and we just like doing the thing and having fun and
True.
having the conversations. And so, like, to us, it's not really about the competition, it seems like, but at the same time, like, we're allowed to think, or we can think that way pretty easily because we don't have to worry that
Right.
much competitive wise, because there's a lot of us, you know.
Well, Keith Smith even said that, I mean, he has not a competitive bone in his body, but yet every day when he gets out there, he's competing with himself to be better.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's
And
what it is.
I think that really sums it up well. And we all have that in common.
Mhm.
So if there is a comparison between each other, then so be it, I suppose. We can win. But it is, and it pushes us to be better. I know it's certainly any sort of this sport, this hobby is very internally driven,
Mhm.
but yet when you have a little bit of external motivation, it just makes it many times compounded. So yeah, this is helping a lot,
Mhm.
which is
I
really
think
exciting.
based on some of the stuff that happened this year, like we had, you know, there's like a 10 whip challenge where people had 10 whips and they cracked them all. There was
Oh
like
yeah,
how many tosses can you do in 15 seconds? There was that hitting an Advil off a Advil bottle
right,
one that Adam did, and our community, and I guess also like the fruit hitting one. There was a lot of ideas and challenge type things that I think our community really jumped on, and something
right.
that Kit and I had talked about is kind of implementing more of those, because it seems like all of us want to share what we can do, and like we respond well to these external, like here's the challenge that you should do, or here's a
Hmm.
competition. And so maybe we start doing more of those things, like one a month. Like one I was thinking of is, you know, what's the best whip trick that you can do in your house, or what's like really unorthodox and weird
Oh, that's a
challenges that are open for
fun
everyone,
idea.
beginner to expert, because that way we can all, you know, contribute and feel like we're all putting something forward. It's not just the big names or
Right,
whatever. Mhm.
and a lot of those can be, yeah. I mean, if you have someone that's a real beginner, it opens it more up to stylistic interpretations to that.
Absolutely.
So we're not looking for, how many Hassett's four corners can you do in 10 seconds or whatever
Mhm.
inside your house, but do something creative.
Yeah.
And no, I like that sort of idea. Yeah, we'll have to uh, throw it around. Maybe we can come up with some other ideas, brainstorm some monthly challenges coming up.
Yeah, and Kit is a really, really talented rope dart rope dartist. I don't
Okay.
know what they call themselves. And he's a part of this rope dart Facebook community. And he said that the way that they communicate is awesome, because there's lots of engagement on the post. There's new videos from all levels every day. And they have challenges like this, which is where kind of the idea came from. And the people that are in charge of the group run raffles
Hmm.
as well. So any entry into one of these challenges gets you a raffle ticket where you could win just a rope dart basically. And
Wow.
so, I mean, we could even do it like there's a challenge every month. If you do the challenge, then you get an entry, and then at the end of the year, maybe there's a raffle or
Sure.
something like that. Obviously, we would need a lot of people to, be willing to donate prizes. And I think timing
Sure.
wise, we'd have to kind of change it, because you don't want to have the LA WhipCon and the raffle and the competition in
Yeah.
January, and
Yeah.
also this thing. But like, there is definitely avenues I think that we can do to increase the amount of content that's being put out, and also kind of get people excited about whip cracking. You know.
Sure. I, I've heard several people talk about doing something in the summer.
Mhm.
Um, I know I brought it up when Adam is here for a Renaissance fair, not far from where I live, actually,
Oh,
over the summer. And I've talked about, what if the first weekend after his Renaissance fair, before he leaves town, um, we did something here, for example.
mhm.
But I mean, it never went anywhere. But I've also heard it mentioned in Colorado, or doing it in California again, or whatever. Or
I
even,
do.
yeah,
I have plans. I'm not saying they're set in stone, but I have plans to run one in Toronto this year,
fun.
um, provided that obviously the pandemic kind of goes away, or at least it's safe for us to do so. Because I think, and again, I'm super biased because I kind of live here, in case you didn't know, but if we had one up here, it's like we have one in the winter, right? Well, I guess it is the winter. I don't need to do this.
Right. Well,
but it doesn't
the
feel like
winter
winter
unites.
in Los Angeles. Yeah. So you have the winter one, the January one in Los Angeles, and then maybe in July or August we have the Canadian one, which obviously is open to Americans, but that way it's like you've got 5 or 6 months in between
Sure.
them. It's like they're both in the summer. Yeah, I think that would be super.
I was
But
talking
it's
to, I think it was Blake Bruning, who said he
mhm.
used to do a meetup every month,
Wow.
and uh, there were some expenses and stuff involved with, I don't know if he was reserving a park space or he had to rent tables, or I don't remember what he said. But that over time, when only a couple people showed up or no one showed up, it just became not worth not just the effort, but the expense too.
Hmm.
So maybe monthly is too much, depending on your local community. But yeah, something in the summer would be a lot of fun.
Hmm. I know in LA they have the Whip meetup, which is every other Saturday. I don't know how. I know a couple of times people have went and it's only been them, but it's I think even just to have something scheduled like that,
Sure.
provided there's no costs, it's cool. And I think also it depends entirely on the community, like you said. For example, when I go to my parents' house, which is like 3 hours from here, there's two guys there named Chris and Caleb, and we always meet up in Crack
Mm,
Whips if I'm in the area. So if there's like people that are dedicated to going, I think it's totally possible. And if there was more of that across North
yeah,
America, that'd be so cool.
absolutely. And yeah, it's going to take that community. Like I've got a group of four other guys, and we meet up. Like, well, we were meeting up every other week before the pandemic,
Yeah,
and I just always brought my bag of whips. And they don't have a whip, but they loved it. It was
cool.
turned into a pseudo meetup every single time, and we crack whips for like an hour. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the dream for sure.
but yeah, I mean they don't have a whip. Maybe I should make them whip.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, it's good stuff, and that's part of what I think doing these events is hopefully going to help continue. I mean, this is a dying whips are not a common thing. They're a dying sport, if you will. It's fading away, or it's coming back, depending on how you want to look at it. But it's obviously not a common thing for people to see anymore.
Hmm.
And one of the whip books up there, I've got a bunch of them, but they were talking about if you want to have friends that crack whips, it will be your job to make your friends crack whips so that your friend, because it's very unlikely that your friends will already crack whips.
Yeah, that's been
So,
my experience for sure.
which, yeah, really resonates true. And maybe that's something else that we could talk about in future um, events or whatever. Like if we do a monthly challenge, like
Hmm.
can you get a group of people that's never cracked a whip before? Like
Ooh, that's a cool
that would
idea.
be a fun thing to do.
Yeah. When I went to Australia a couple of years ago, I was really fortunate to meet Simon Martin and uh, I met Bill Barnes, I met James Scott, I met Emilky East,
Wow.
all of these super, super fantastic, I met Daniel Wicks, all the super fantastic people. And I went to a couple different events and I just remember thinking like, I want this so bad. I want people that are around and that want to talk about it. And I think like what we're doing right now is a great way of bridging that
Yep.
gap. But it really, really put a fire under my butt to like make it happen. And I talked to
Hmm.
Simon about how to do that. And one of the things that he said was you need to start teaching the kids, like because kids are it's way easier to get kids excited than it is to get adults excited. And also kids just learn things faster. And so what a big thing that he's done is like he teaches kids at his youth group to crack whips. And sure enough, when you go to his events, there's a bunch of kids there that can crack whips super well. And he's like, this is the next generation that's going to carry it
Yeah.
on.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
That's really exciting. And I mean, not to brag on my son since he submitted, but
Yeah.
I mean, the adults are intimidated. It's a whip can be scary if you don't
Yeah.
know what you're looking at. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But so, however, when an 8-year-old runs up with no fear, and I'm just like, stop, put on the glasses. Like I have certain minimal requirements.
Yeah.
And he just goes to town on it. Then all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm 6'4", 250. I could probably handle a little whip here.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
yeah, and it really, and that's kind of what starts it,
Mhm.
and everyone starts getting into it. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun, and expanding this community beyond just our group is I think one of our goals, or
Yeah.
should be one of my goals.
Not to self-promote too much, although I'm totally about to.
Go for it.
Um, Another thing that I did when I came back uh, is I created a website called CanadaWhips.com. And at the time, my goal was like, okay, I want to give Canadians basically a resource where they can learn about whip cracking, and so they can get into it, right? Because when I started, I felt like it was really hard to find information. I could maybe buy DVDs or books, but I was 12. I didn't have money, and so all the information that I gathered was just from talking to people online, or like maybe I happened across something in a YouTube video. And so I started building this website, and it's just like any question that I thought a beginner would have, I'd answer it on the website. It's like, what's the difference between types of whips? There's a guide for that. How do you measure whip? There's a guide for that. If I was to choose a whip to buy right now, what kind of whip should I buy? There's a guide for that. How do I do this? Like
Wow,
everything I could think of, I'm just like
it's a
pumping it
lot of
onto this
work.
website. Yeah. And because I kept doing that, like it's kind of become not just this Canada focused, like here is ways for Canadians to get into whip cracking. It's very much, I'm trying to make it like a worldwide resource, where people can go on, and if they have a question, you can find the answer. If you want to see a list of different tricks, that's on there. I have a YouTube channel where I'm doing tutorials for all of the tricks that I can think of. Like just I'm trying to make it so accessible for beginners,
Hmm.
or intermediates, or anyone that wants to learn, because that was something that I struggled with. And I've got some good feedback, so I think those kinds of resources are really helpful too. And I see a lot of
That's
people
really valuable.
now, yeah, like on Instagram, there's people that are reaching out to beginners and saying, hey, good job, like you should try this next or this next. And I think that is a super good way of expanding our community too, is just we all have this knowledge. Let's just like share it as much as we can, right? Because
Right.
it's only going to make things better.
I mean, it closes off a lot of those barriers to entry that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
That, like, I've sold several whips to cosplayers
Mhm.
wanting to do either Indiana Jones or Catwoman or something, and they have all those same questions. They've decided they want a whip, but it came from a different direction because of the cosplay thing. And yeah, they have. It always takes a lot of work. I should start sending them to your website. So.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, that's super
It's
cool.
yeah, it's been a lot of work, but it's really fun. I enjoy it, and I get a lot of good feedback, and I get a lot of questions, which is what I live for. I really like it, and um, I have no problem, like if someone asks me a question, I have no problem just getting my camera out and recording a quick like
Right.
5-minute thing for them explaining it. Um, I've even like at work when my boss isn't around, I'll set up my phone, and if someone has a question, I make paint. So take a paint stir stick and pretend it's a whip, and I'm like showing what to do with this stir stick, and then I send it off.
That's
But
great.
the cool thing is, so on my YouTube channel, I have all these different tutorials, and then I have all these unlisted videos that I've made specifically for people. And
Hmm.
the more I do it, the more I'm realizing how common certain questions are. And so now it's like
Oh yeah.
someone's like, I just learned the slow figure eight. What should I do? It's like, oh, actually, I think I made a video for someone else about that, and then I just send it to them. And so I really think that, yeah, putting this knowledge out there, it just makes it easier, and the more resources there are, it's just the more people are going to learn, and the faster they're going to learn. And I
Yeah.
think people like Danny Shaw, are such a testament to that, because he said he's only been cracking for 5 years. And he's probably one of the best whip crackers that I've ever met. Whereas I've been
Right.
doing it for more than twice as long, and I couldn't touch the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah. He's never even bought a whip. So.
Yeah, right. I know how to do that better than him. Just throw my money away.
Right.
What a genius. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think the I mean, the whip making is I mean, although it's obviously super related, and some of the best whip crackers in America are whip makers as well.
Hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily the other way around. Always the best whip makers are the best whip crackers, but um, it is interesting, and I wonder if that has to do with Adam's talked about he's trying to do something specific, so he'll change weight distribution or that sort of thing, and
Hmm.
so he makes a lot of whips. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's is that a common thing? Is that something you think that's important to move on to the next echelon of whip cracking?
That's a
Or
that's a really good question, actually. So I didn't make whips and wasn't really interested in making whips for a long time because it's incredibly, like, as you know, technical. It takes a long time. You have to be super
yes,
smart, all things that
I
I
mean, look how
want and I don't
smart
have.
I am. I'm
Yeah,
just
right,
no.
exactly, yeah. um, and I've only gotten into it recently, actually, because of the pandemic and being like locked up. And I really enjoy it. And I think it has actually made me a better whip cracker. Um, for the reason that you mentioned, like for my performance video where I do all those weird tricks, when I scripted it, I wrote down all the tricks that I wanted to do, and then I came upstairs and I looked at them, and then I made a set of whips that I thought would be good at doing those tricks. So for that reason, it's really great. But also just understanding the way whips work and kind of um, like when you talk to Johnny, he said something really cool, which is that when he uses a whip, it's almost like he's tasting wine. Like he wants to feel the nuances
Mhm.
and how it works. And I think that if you're not a whip maker, you just probably won't have that ability. At least it won't be as fine tuned. And by knowing the way a whip feels, it just helps you be able to do the things that you want to do. And you'll be more able to
Sure.
tell, like, is it possible to do the four corners with this whip easily, for example? Or like, what does this whip need for me to do the four corners? And even if I don't want to make the whip, I can email the maker and be like, can you make me another set just with weight farther out into the thong, for
Hmm.
example?
Yeah, and that's I don't know if you guys can hear that. My my kids are going bonkers in the other room, but that's what it's like having kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're uh, with putting the weight out there for instance was it was really interesting. Both him and Danny both talked about um, Evan also. I mean, all of them talked about those sort of things, and I think one of the biggest things I learned from Danny was I think I'm not giving myself enough pressure to use these heavier whips and stuff. I'm not used to cracking a heavy whip that needs weight out there, so it makes it harder to do some of the cracks that need some of these things. And it
I
would
see.
benefit me to continue exercising my arms and working up to being able to do this. And I
Hmm.
actually have a beautiful whip here. I had Adam make me a 275 cord. I mean,
Wow.
I don't know if you saw this on his
Oh,
Instagram, but
I
it's
did.
absolutely stunning. He's an amazing
That
whip maker.
that is phenomenal. Yeah. Holy.
But it's yeah, it feels like a little bit like that guy on I don't know if you've seen on TikTok with a big chain going around.
Yeah. The big
It's
heavy one. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that heavy.
Right.
My leather one I made back there was way heavier than this, but it's not what I expected at all when I first started cracking this, and it wears me out in a big hurry. But it sounds like that's something that I need to just not just accept but embrace,
Hmm.
and now I can change how I'm making my whips.
Totally, yeah, that's really cool. The strength is surprisingly like a pretty big factor. I think if you look at a lot of like the whip crackers are kind of at the top of the game, at least in North America. Like they're pretty
Hmm.
strong looking people. Like you look at Tori or Todd or Adam or Danny, and they're all just like they're muscular guys. And it is
Yeah,
it is quite a physical thing, and I think that gets forgot about a lot. But the other cool thing is it doesn't necessarily have to be. Like people of all shapes and sizes can get into whip cracking. It's just,
sure.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I saw a fascinating video. it was a few years ago with Tiger Woods when he was at the peak of his game,
Okay.
and he was talking about this
Hmm.
and how he puts so many hours into different parts of his game, and one of them is eating right and going to the gym and making sure he's in physical shape,
Hmm.
because you don't think of golf as a very physically demanding sport, especially if you only watch it on TV.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is walking and other there. I haven't played a lot of golf, but yeah, you're outside doing a lot of walking and carrying this bag around and all these things. But that little bit of difference, that where you're in better control, you have more strength available to you at the end of all of that, makes the difference.
Mm.
Those minute changes that you still have strength and control to hit it that extra little bit will set you apart from the guy that didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like whip cracking is probably, um, at least for the short period of time that you're doing it, more physical. It's not like you're swinging a golf club for 60 seconds straight,
Yeah.
but um, but it's different. I mean, theirs is obviously stretched out over a long period of time, versus a whip crack routine would be compressed into a short period of time. But I do think you have a point. There is something there, and like Danny said, he's going to start lifting weights now. So
Hmm.
everybody, look out! We're
Yeah.
going to have ripped Danny
Because
next.
yeah, exactly. That's what we need is a better Danny at whip cracking. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Adam gave me some really good advice at the beginning of this year because so he had just finished figuring out the staggered four corners, and had started training just the four corners of my left hand because, like I said, I knew I needed it for this year's competition. And he said that to make his left-handed four corners stronger, every practice session before he would go out, he would just use the whip in his left hand and play with his left hand until he got bored, and then he would start using two hands. And that's exactly what I did too. And honestly, it helped a lot getting that advice
Hmm.
because I would go out and like
That is
just
super
to warm up.
useful.
Yeah, I just use my left arm. I'm playing around, and then I might try the four corners a bit, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I move on to the two-handed stuff, which is what I want to do, but I've still put in all of that work and I've warmed up, which is not something that I normally do. So yeah, just
Yeah, that's interesting. I mentioned to Danny, my wife is a piano player, which
okay.
obviously takes two hands,
Yep.
and she has talked about, as she's learning the whip, different things that carry over between the two. And what you're saying is very similar to the way that she's been practicing. She will purposely crack the whip. I mean, she's basically a beginner.
Hmm.
She's working on overhead. She's working on cattlemen's, fast figure eights, those sort of things.
Yep.
And but she will do two or three times in her right hand and then switch over and then practice doing it until she can do the same number in her left hand.
Cool.
Then she goes back to
Cool.
the right hand. So she's not allowing herself to progress with her right hand until that left hand stays on par with her right,
Nice.
which
That's
is
smart.
really cool. And I think someone that has easily put more than 10,000 hours into something, which she has done with her piano, she has her master's,
Wow.
and in music, with piano being her specialty, um, that I think that, well, we can learn from all these other things, not just golf, but piano and all these other things. So yeah, that's exciting.
And there's a lot of like I mean Adam Winrich is the perfect example of this, but a lot of bookcrackers I think have other hobbies as well, and they're pretty good at them. You know, like you see Adam riding around on his unicycle with a
Hmm.
lasso and arm, and it's just like, what can this guy not do? And something that I've always tried to embrace with my practice is that like failure is a necessary and a good like component, right? Like Danny was saying, I forget exactly what he said, that the master has failed more than the beginner has
Yes,
tried or
yeah,
something like that.
that was the
That
quote.
yeah, so that's totally what it is, and people that have other hobbies, they like they get more practice at failing
Sure.
and picking themselves up and going on, and so you really just gotta like keep on keeping on and recognize that it's not necessarily a bad thing to mess stuff up all the time. And so if you're like practicing whip cracking like me and you just mess up and you mess up and you mess up and you mess up,
Hmm.
like I don't want to do this anymore. And then you go on to piano like your wife and you're trying to learn something and you mess it up and you mess it up and you mess it up. Like in a way, you're practicing two different things, but at the same time, you're getting better at failing and then
Sure.
keeping on, right? And
Right.
so I think anything that you learn, are trying to learn, is going to make it easier to learn other things moving forward, because learning is all about just being bad at something until you're not anymore.
Right. I think that's absolutely really important. Um, and my dad has this saying. I'm trying to remember. He read a book. It was when I was trying to get a job. I got to remember my dad advice properly since I'm a dad now, right?
Right.
So when you put out a resume, there's an average number of resumes you have to put out before you get a callback.
Okay.
And there's an average number of callbacks you have to have before you get an interview. And there's an
Mhm.
average number of interviews you need to get before you get an offer. And assuming you're not super desperate, there should be at least a few offers you get so you can choose which one would be best for you.
Mhm.
So how many resumes do you need to put out in order to get 3 offers? Well, if there's 10 resumes per callback per, and then there's 10 callbacks
Yeah.
per, so I need to put out a minimum of 100 resumes, different resumes at different places per
Oof.
callback. Then I need to get going because I've got at least 99 more failures to get through before I can get to the success. And
Right.
it's not that you need to feel like you failed 99 times. It's just 99 steps to get to the completion. And
Definitely.
it definitely makes the slog a little bit easier when I remember sayings like that.
Mhm.
But along those same lines, what are some other hobbies that you have? What else do you fail in? So wait.
Oh man, how much time do you have? No, I like juggling a lot. I spent in 2017, I juggled for a half
Whoa.
hour a day for the whole year. So I went from not being able to juggle to being pretty okay. I've learned fire eating. I play with yo-yos sometimes. Flow arts like staff spinning and poi and all that kind of
Wow.
stuff. Whip cracking really is what I live for, and anyone that you talk to will be like, "Oh, Justin, yeah, he's the whip guy. He doesn't shut up about it." But I do really like to juggle it and do other kind of stuff like that. So um, yeah, I'm pretty good at being bad at stuff, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, my hobbies are a little. It seems like yours have a theme to them. It's like all performance arts there, and then I
Yeah,
think it sounds like they
circus.
kind of. Yeah, exactly. They all kind of feed off of each other to a degree. I might be better at some of mine if they fed off each other better. Like on one weekend, I'll spend the nights outside with my telescope doing
Cool.
astronomy, doing astrophotography, and then next
That's
couple of
awesome.
weekends I'll be working with my 3D printer making stuff happen, and then I'll be doing like leather tooling, and yeah, it's just all over the place. Or oil
I think
painting, another one.
Wow, I think that's so cool though, because you get, a wide variety of skills. And something that benefits me from staying in the same kind of area is that, maybe I'll learn a move on poi and then I can translate it to whips, for example.
Hmm.
So all the moves kind of work together. But with you having such a wide variety of hobbies, it's like anyone that you meet, you're going to be able to connect with them. Because if someone comes up to me and starts talking to me about astrophotography, I'm going to be like, that's really cool, but you should probably talk to someone else because I don't know what to say, right? But if you have
Right.
your hands in like all these different little pools, that's such a cool way to live.
Well, thanks. I like to have it diverse.
Yeah.
To my parents growing up were to their chagrin, and now to my wife. So she's like, "Can we get rid of some of these boxes of stuff in the garage?" I'm like, "We're getting back around to it."
Yeah, yeah,
I
totally.
can promise I'll be doing that hobby again soon.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's fun, um, and it's just different things strike your inspiration
Yeah.
and or mine. So yeah, let me see if there was anything else kind of related. I'm I do technology for a living for my day job
Mhm.
of various sorts, IT support, and so I love to keeping up with all of that. But I don't know if I call that a hobby so much as just. I don't think being a consumer can be a hobby
Well,
necessarily. I mean,
I mean, I saw on one of your YouTube channels you do like unboxings of things, like tech
I
demos. Is that
I
a thing?
did a couple of those. I didn't do
So
much with it.
I
It
would
felt kind
call that a hobby.
of okay. Well,
You can
thanks.
buy stuff
I
that way.
forgot that was still out. Yeah, it was an old Android tablet I got,
Huh.
and I was real excited about it. But Nobody sent me any samples or anything. That's where I was hoping to go with it. So
Yeah. Damn.
oh
Well,
well.
maybe they'll see this and then they will. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
That crossover between Samsung and whip cracking, we can just kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
sponsors. That's what whip cracking needs.
Hmm. Not just like other whip makers as sponsors. We need
Yeah.
like Nike.
Yes.
Well, Adam did a video for GoPro that's on the GoPro YouTube channel called
Oh,
Whip Cracker. So maybe
really? I
they're
need
an
to check that
avenue.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. He's
That's
got like
pretty neat.
fire whips and stuff with the GoPro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they probably play better for that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But very cool.
Hmm.
So I've got other people scheduled for this week. I've got other whip crackers, other whip makers, some
Awesome.
big names coming. I don't want to promise anything I don't have confirmed dates for, but Adam has promised to talk to me and kind of give a
Cool.
retrospective on the whole thing and how it went. Um, Definitely let me know if there's any questions you would have for him. A lot of people have already talked to him, getting feedback on their videos and stuff.
Hmm.
But be interested to see if he's just like collapsed after watching all the videos. And
Yeah. I forget how many videos he said were submitted. It was over 100 for sure.
yeah, like a week ago, he said it was 68 or 70 or something, and it was he had a lot of people that he knew were keep saying they were going to submit that hadn't at that point. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot of content to watch.
and if
Um,
everybody submitted all three, I mean that's what 5 minutes per person.
yeah.
So if they did that, and we have 100 videos. That's 500 minutes of video.
So like 7 hours or something.
Right,
I
like
think,
literally the whole day.
yeah. And it wouldn't be so bad if there wasn't like 20 seconds of required cracks at the start of every video. It's just like I've seen the volley 4,000 times, you know?
Exactly. It might make it easier to say, okay, disqualified. He's not part of.
Yeah,
He
true.
forgot.
He missed a crack or something.
Right, he missed a crack.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking of just for the raffle that
Hmm.
I should go ahead and just submit a two-hand something. And I did one really simple. I just did some volleys, and I did Queensland crossover and a couple of in staggered stuff and some things like that. Really simple.
Yep.
But I did it over and over and over and over, and I tangled my whips. I think every take, and I said, you know what? I'm just not ready for double whips. I'm just not going to submit one. But then he said, you got to submit it if you want to be. I'm like, okay, I'll like, okay, you can just disqualify it now, but
I'm gonna submit it
I'm
anyway.
going
Good
to
for you.
submit it anyway. So I have one out there. So
And I think like what I really like about that is you went out and you probably figured like, well, I don't really have a chance of taking this thing because I'm just getting started on the double
right,
whips. But not only am I going to take a video, I'm going to take a whole bunch so that like we said in the last talk, it's the best 1 minute of two-handed stuff I've ever done, you know, and you really
that it
gave it a
is.
go, and
I
that is
did.
awesome.
I did. Well,
Yeah.
thanks. I wonder. There's an option here to watch together, and
Okay.
we could actually look. First one that pops up is a video titled "Weirdness."
Oh, perfect.
So we could watch that. Actually, let's do that. I can
Yeah, sure.
find mine in a minute, but let me see how this works. I don't know. Oh, there
Oh,
he is.
perfect. That's me. Yeah.
See, that is awesome. I love. How'd you come up with the glasses
Yeah.
stuff? Like at the very beginning when you did the glasses, you brought them down. Like, where did that come from? Oh,
Man, this trick was so hard to catch and then go into this.
okay,
Awful.
okay. We got to see that again. That was back up 10 seconds. So, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Stupid.
So, are you? I can't quite follow. Are you catching? Are the whips crossing sides? Or are you switching hands with the whips? With the same
So
whips on left and
I
right.
so I'm doing a double reverse elbow toss, right? So they go under, they get hooked
Right.
on the elbows, and then you push them up in the air. And when they're in the air, they kind of like get thrown
Okay.
towards the center. And then when I catch them, I catch and swing the arms across. So it's weird because what happens is I start with my red whip, say
Mhm.
on my left side. I throw it, do the elbow toss. It goes up. I catch it in my right hand, so now it's switched hands. But then I bring it back onto the left side where it initially was. So the whip has
Oh my
changed hand,
God.
but it hasn't changed sides.
Wow.
Yeah, it's goofy.
So okay, so you're catching and then oh my
Yeah.
God. That's so cool. Let me continue here. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Okay, this one. Okay, that what is that with the foot? I mean, that definitely says rope dart to me.
Yeah, I honestly, because I dropped my whip so many times, I just have weird ways of picking it up. And that was one that I thought, oh, I'll just put that in the
I love
video for fun. Um,
it.
yeah, it's goofy.
That's so smooth. Oh, look at that. That one was behind the neck spin. That has to be way harder than it looks
The
because it
behind
looks
the neck. So
here.
that is a neck wrap
Can I move
where,
that?
so
Yeah.
normally, you know, you do the neck wrap, but yeah.
Hang it. No, I'm going to get back to it. Where was it? God, you're so good. Oh, I must have missed it. But yeah, so yeah, neck rack and then it actually spins all the way around.
Yeah, yeah. So instead of, so
Let
the
me-
way I came up with that move was normally you do the neck wrap and then it changes hands, right? But instead, I was trying to do the neck wrap and then catch it in the same hand. But the problem is that like the whip is traveling the same way that your hand is going to go, so it's hard. And
Oh
so when I
yeah,
was trying to do that,
right there.
um, eventually the move became, oh, well, why don't I just wait for it to go all the way around and then I'll catch it behind my back. And that way I don't have to do the stupid chasing thing. And it just
Right.
ended up being way cooler that
Yeah,
way.
it
And
looks
so, yeah, that's the move.
so slick. Kind of got the gunslinger vibe there with the double one wrapping around your chest. Ah, yep, that the head spin. There it is. I think I've seen this. I mean, is this an original Justin or with the tossing and catching this? Oh, back a little more. Was well, that's not a good place to pause it. So dramatic.
Yeah.
So much fun. I guess I can just let it play for anyone that hasn't seen it, but you can definitely go back and enjoy it for the whole thing. That looks awesome. It's like the whips are just doing their own thing in the air. That's so cool.
This one's so stupid.
I love it. Oh my god, that looks really hard. Okay, got
Super
it.
hard. That was like a million takes.
You got to tell me about that. What is it? What is it catching on? How are you?
It's what are the whips catching on at the back there?
Oh, that's just a garage door.
It's a
So you're doing.
yeah, it's the track that my garage door goes on. And one, I was trying to get both whips on there, but one whip caught and the other whip caught on the first whip, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the ending
Very cool.
is my favorite part for
Oh,
sure.
your blooper, yeah. Even have the audio of the
Yeah.
crash. Just own it.
Uh-huh. Exactly. I was wondering, like, could I just do the video with one sunglass? Like, is that funnier? But then I fixed it instead.
Oh, that's great. Oh, stop. We don't want to watch other stuff.
It's a
Well,
cool
thanks for going over
feature.
with me. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But no, that's super cool. Now I don't want to show you mine because it's.
Oh, do it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yay. You gotta be proud of it. You gotta own
Yeah,
it. It's
true.
your best whip cracking minute.
Well, that's true. Here's how to attach a fall. And, nope, that's my brisket. Sure. Nope, that is not the
Oh,
right
we can
one.
watch that one too.
Oh, this is a whip I made. I was just trying to sell it. I don't
Mm.
need to do an ad on here.
You're the sponsor we've been looking for. You're sponsoring yourself. Nice.
All right, it was called. It doesn't have a great search feature. I gotta say that for this, you can do a search. But if I did,
I mean, if the first video it shows is my video, then I don't mind the search feature at all.
no,
It's pretty
right.
sweet.
I didn't even have to search it. It was just listed.
Perfect. Hopefully, all of Facebook has that video listed.
Exactly. All right. There we go. Here's the knot video I made. And no, it's not listed.
No.
Okay.
Oh well.
Yeah. What what we can do is maybe 2021 WhipCon, LA WhipCon 2021, and see who else comes up. And we've got and they're all truncated, so that doesn't help either. But like here's I think this is Tori.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Single whip.
This video is so cool. And Tori makes it so effortless. You know, he's barely even there. The whip is just doing it itself. It's so
He's
beautiful.
just there to babysit. It does its own thing.
Yeah. Bang, bang.
It's so
The body wrap
crisp.
crack he's gonna do is so cool. And his classic like bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
His arrowheads are so clean too.
Yep. Right into the four corners like a beast.
Yep. Oh, not even trying.
Break away. Bang. Crack off the wrap.
It's like a backwards flick off of it.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of a pig
Yeah.
drover in a way.
Yeah. Another
Back
four
into the
corners.
four corners again.
Jeez.
Another like crazy boop boop. Oh, we're in the arrowhead.
What was that?
That was so
Andy.
clean. He really makes it look so like I showed someone that isn't a whip cracker that video, and they said it looks like he's just standing there and then things are happening. I was like, yeah, that's him. He just stands there and the whip just does it, you know, because he's so like
he's so relaxed and smooth. Yeah, it's
fantastic. I love it.
Maybe it's certainly his goal is for that, but that does not seem to be the goal for some of our other whip crackers out there. Danny does not seem to have that as a goal. He wants it to be loud and fast. T-Rex, obviously, same thing.
Yep.
He wants it to be loud and fast and aggressive, but that's okay. I mean, that's just their style. So
it's totally, I think once you have the technique down, like you understand how the crack works, it's up to you. Like, am I going to just blast this and have it loud and be all over the place, or am I going to do it as gently as possible? And that's one of the things I really like about this, but also one of the things I think that makes it super hard for Adam to judge is just to watch like that video of Tori, which is so graceful and beautiful, and then the video of Todd where it's just like in your face, like blah, 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 throws and all this stuff. It's just like, these just seem like different things. Like they're both equally good, but differently.
And I think that makes Adam's job super hard to pick a winner. But I think that's one of the things that I enjoy as much as anything on these sort of just the competition in general, but the compilation more than the competition. So I found my video.
Yes.
Can I get it to work? Here is the link. And it's playing in a different window.
Strange.
Oh well. I'll just do watch together and paste. Oops. Doesn't come up. I don't know.
Well, you got all those whips in the background. You could just do it in your
I could
room
just
there.
crack one here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could show off. You have any whips you want to? Well, your Hungarian whip that you talked about, your old
Yep.
one. I still want you to show that off when you get a chance. Um,
I'll make a
I
video on it for sure. It's all
yeah.
like encased in glass, but once I take the glass off, I will definitely make a video. And I'll probably end up making videos about the two whips that I won as well because they both look absolutely stunning. So they're going to go up on my little display area.
Okay.
Hmm.
And let's see, who made the whips that you won?
I got one from Tori. It's an 8-foot kangaroo hide bullwhip, and I got the one from Nick Schrader.
Oh, you got the one from Schrader. Cool.
Yeah, I don't have any of his whips yet, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
And of course from
I don't
Tori
either.
too. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's exciting. Um, I'll have to post a link to my videos or something. You guys can
Please
watch it
do.
later. But yeah, like the one on my YouTube channel, it's I think the last one posted, just double whip practice is what I ended up titling it.
Mhm.
It's the one I ended up sending to Adam.
Adam.
But yeah, I'm starting to do just the required cracks and then queens the crossover and a few things, and then I tangle the whips and I have this frustrated
So
look on my face.
what's your main goal
My
for the
main
double
goal,
whip? Yeah.
um, I want to. I just want to consistently get better.
Hmm.
Is my main goal, and so I like what my goal is I keep setting it goals further and further out. So I pick the next thing.
Hmm.
So I picked Queensland crossover till I could do that pretty successfully, and I have with the single hand I've been working on Assets Four Corners,
Cool.
and I can do bang 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 bang, and it's but when it comes around to do the five, to start it over, is when I start missing them again.
Which
And
crack are you starting with?
I usually do backhand flick.
Bang, 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 and then
Yes.
you missed that one. Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
the backhand flick again.
Yeah.
And maybe I've seen Tori. He does like a actual sidearm flick,
Hmm.
and then he does the four. I think he swings it all the way around to a forehand.
Yeah.
Maybe we could try that.
Yeah, I think with the four corners and with the arrowhead, they're both moves that can be started from any of the four cracks, and I think that's something that doesn't get like played with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, like the four corners, I always start it with like the first backwards one, so I swing around and go bang and then into it.
Oh,
But I've
okay.
started playing with like the other corners, and it's nice because I can isolate certain parts of the
Sure.
move, but it's also cool because if I, for example, if I start with the flick on this side and I get used to doing that, eventually I might be able to combine like the first two or first three cracks of the four corners into something else,
Oh,
right? So I could go like bang, 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 and then like something like that. And so it's really cool to play with those different start points because all of a sudden you have all these different entries and exits and
I mean,
combos that you can do.
Todd did something similar with that. So he has a kind of a gainer toss, but in the four corners.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it's at the beginning. It's right at the end. He does the four, and then he flips it
Uh-huh.
without really doing much else. It's amazing.
Yep.
Um, yeah, he's probably thinking something along those same lines.
Hmm.
Um, my next goal beyond that is to choose one of these named routines that someone has the Messerschmitt or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. I'm just going to flip through them and see which ones looks like it's within reach. I haven't picked one yet, but I want to be able to say I know the something,
Cool. Good
the
for you.
thing. So
Well,
that's
if you check out this handy little website called
Canada
CanadaWhips.com, in
whips.
the
Okay,
two-handed section, I've got a list of a whole bunch of two-handed tricks for
sweet,
you. So,
absolutely. I will definitely check that out.
cool.
And like Adam had a video of was it beginner to intermediate or something
It was
cracks.
like, is it the three intermediate tricks that you should learn? It's like the death
He had that
march,
one,
the
but then he
intertwine.
had another one. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and I went through all those. Oh yeah, that was the second one. So
Hmm.
he had a beginner one that I think was 6 or something cracks, and
Okay.
those I knew without problem. And then the intermediates I went through those systematically, and yeah, moving on, trying to just do something harder and harder.
Cool.
So,
Good for you.
well, thank you. It's you guys are very inspiring,
Aw.
and
I mean, I think what another thing that's cool is that everyone kind of inspires everyone. You know, when I see someone like um, Daniel Corbeil, for example, who goes out, he's a beginner, but he practices for like a couple hours a day. It makes me be like, man, he's new, but he's like really giving it. It's like, well, why aren't I doing that too, you know?
sure, yeah. The one in that video actually about Tiger Woods, he was talking about how every day he spends a minimum of 1 hour practicing putting, just the
Wow.
putting.
Jeez.
That I if I did anything practicing it for an hour a day, I would probably be amazing.
Yeah.
But how many people are complaining about the fact that they're not? Well, I could never be Tiger Woods. I don't have that sort of talent. Well, do you practice an hour a day on one tiny piece of it?
Exactly. Yeah, that's all it is.
Right. And not that he doesn't have amazing skill. I don't follow golf very closely. It was just an inspirational interview I saw years ago. But yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? But yeah, I also do what I can, like these videos, and I'm learning a lot from you guys and helping the community how I can too.
And I think it
So
definitely is. Like, it's the videos are just awesome. I was saying to my girlfriend that it feels like I'm watching TSN or something, but for the sport that I actually care about, you know?
right.
Like, you're good at interviewing, and it's cool hearing people's perspectives,
Oh,
and
well, thanks.
like in every video that I've seen so far, I've learned something or I've thought about whips in a different way,
Yeah, me
and I
too.
think that's really awesome. And so it's, yeah, please keep doing this, please.
Yeah, I've. Let me see. Where's my? I can give you some. Um, so uh, I've talked to Eddie Vasquez. I want to get him um, Kelt. And let's see. Of course, I've talked to Nick and Adam, and I've got tentatives on both of those. Hopefully, we'll be talking to Nick tomorrow.
Cool.
And no, I don't. I may have jinxed it, but
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
right. I'm going back and forth with Peter Thorndike. See if we can chat with him a little bit
Super.
on the making side of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to be reaching out to the rest of the just a bunch of the performers, and I've been talking to a handful of people that are just newbies that I see on Instagram that they're struggling to get the fast figure eight, and the volleys are they're doing six swings, but maybe three cracks,
Yeah.
and they did their best. I'm like, hey, are you trying to enter, or are you entering the thing? Like, yeah, that was my entry. I'm like, you know what, we should talk. I think that would be a fun chat,
Hmm.
and don't have any takers yet. Obviously, it'd be
Oh,
a little intimidating, but I would like to talk to some of these people that are just starting out because I think they deserve to be celebrated too. That it's
absolutely.
it's really exciting, and maybe I could share some knowledge instead of
Hmm.
being the newbie on the call like I've been most of these other ones. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying doing it, and I've I've enjoyed it and learned a lot from you as well. Thank you very much.
I mean, it's been my pleasure, and I'm learning too, right? So it's all we're all just learning, and me and
That's right.
Kit and I have this like ongoing. It's not like a joke, but it's like a scavenger hunt because occasionally we'll happen across someone on Instagram that's brand new to whip cracking, but they'll do like a move that neither of us has seen before. And it's just like this thing that we all are always looking for. And it's like if I find one, I get a point or he gets a point because it's like, look, new whip cracker doing a new move. And you're like, ah. Oh. And so that's like, you can learn something from everyone, is I guess the point of that. Like
Yeah.
every new person is just going to bring something to the table that hasn't been done.
Oh, Todd Rex just commented. Justin rocks,
Oh,
and he
thanks so
says,
much. Todd Boulders.
yeah. And he says, awesome interview, Chris. Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad I can help.
You should
But
definitely interview Todd as
yes,
well. He's a fantastic guy.
Todd, let's do it. Let's talk. Especially you're my first place. I need to talk to you.
Yeah, really.
Congratulations. That amazing bystander. We need to talk about him and find no.
Yeah, can you get that guy so we can interview him too?
I mean, I already missed out on Baby Yoda, but
Yeah,
random guy walking, he's going to be my next target. So,
that'd be so funny.
all right. Well, very good. I have kids that need baths and stuff. I have
Hmm.
dad duties. So, thank you for chatting. This has been awesome, and I will
Yes.
continue chatting with guys and gals as I can, and continue this ball rolling down the road.
Cool. Well, I really look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Ciao.